Now, do you have anybody that you could talk to with this at this time?
At this time, no, except for the
Jeez.
doctor a little bit. But I had gone way beyond. She had one near-death experience. I had gone way beyond her. Started seeking out groups. I sought out different groups that talked about it. I went to there's a group called Eckankar. I don't know if
Right.
you've ever heard of. I sought them out, but I was I went to some convention they had where there was 2,000 people, but no one could tell me about what was happening to me because they were all at the beginning stages of it.
Yeah.
And I was flying
You're.
around going places. They couldn't tell me.
Yeah.
No one was there to tell me.
Yeah.
I went to it's here in Los Angeles. Do you know that what is it called? Scientology?
Yes. Yes.
L. Ron Hubbard
Yeah.
or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he discovered it.
Right.
And in their documents, they talk about. I think they call. Let me think. What do they call it? They call it. I can't remember the term, but they talk about this leaving the body too. They just call it something different. And I went there even to talk to them about it to find out, but no one was at that stage. I got lucky by later on reading Robert Monroe's books, because his books were in detailed explorations of this,
Yeah.
and they helped me a lot, because now all of a sudden, wow, here's a guy
People
talking
been
about
there.
what I'm experiencing and in detail. Now, I have to say this. One of the things, though, I did discover was at this Eckankar place is that I was reading a book that talked about soul traveling or something like that, and in it, it talked about buzzing sounds,
Ah, the buzzing
which I
bees.
thought, wow, that's the first thing that book that I found that would even address the issue.
Had something, yeah.
So right there, I'm thinking, how I'm experiencing something that somebody's writing about. That's a validation.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I described it in my journal as buzzing, and they're using the exact same word.
Yeah.
That was a good thing, because
Yeah.
that meant
I'm not nuts.
I'm not going nuts.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not just hearing this and inventing this. I don't know what this is at all. So one of the things that I love to do is I love the flying experience.
Yeah.
I love that part. I've been doing it since I was a kid, and probably everybody out there who's ever experienced flying in your dreams, it's the most exciting thing you could ever do.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful.
It's fun.
It truly is.
So much fun. So I think it was on the 7th night. I'm laying in bed, and I'm thinking, you know, I just want to fly. I just want to fly around and have fun tonight. That's about it, you know. And so I'm laying there, and I go through the process, and I come up, you know, it was interesting. Now I'm feeling the vibration. And first I felt the paralysis, then I felt the vibration. But before rising up out of the body like I usually do, I thought to myself, I want to have a flying dream or experience. And this was something unique, and this was the first time it happened, is instead of feeling movement, I dissolved out of that physical location. I dissolved.
Wow.
And reassembled high above the clouds.
Oh, wow.
Which I thought,
totally
that was
different. Yeah, holy.
It was real, which is, it's about focusing on different, you don't have to travel or slide around. There's many ways for the conscious soul body, astral body, whatever you want to call it, second body, to move around. You're not really limited. Matter of fact, I haven't found any limits. Moving around physically is related to what I do in the physical body, so that's why
it's a habit.
I do that. Yeah, it's habit, you know, but you don't have to at all. It is, you can, if you want to just instantly project someplace,
think it.
You can, you know. So that, and hearing something, and I don't know what that is. It's a person or something. I don't know what it is. Now remember, she's metaphysical.
Right.
She says to me, well, it probably was your guide. That was the first person I ever mentioned the guide. And I said, what do you mean guide? She said, well, you know, we have this spiritual being that comes with us, that's with us from birth, that guides us through life. And I said, Catholics don't have guides. We have guardian angels. You know, because that was my upbringing. She said, you can call it anything you want. The job is still the same.
Right.
I'm thinking, well, that's interesting. So while I'm flying, I'm kind of thinking about that stuff, you know, what she said. And then I said to her, well, I'd never seen it before. She said, had you ever looked behind you or looked around for it? And I thought, well, that sounds kind of silly, because if it was there, it seems like it would be in front of me, right?
Wouldn't I see it?
You know, you would think.
Yeah.
But so while I'm flying, I'm thinking, she said, look behind you. And so I slowly, now imagine laying out horizontally flying with your arms stretched out like you have wings,
Right,
not
right.
out in front of you, but on the side. And that's how I was. So now I'm looking over to the right, over my shoulder, back at my legs. And I have to tell you, George, I was shocked at what I saw.
What'd you see?
There was this same humanoid thing holding my legs, helping me fly. I
Oh,
couldn't feel it
wow.
touching me, but it was holding my legs, helping me fly.
Wow.
Which puts together why I felt hands once upon in some of the locations, some of the situations helping me, and I thought I was doing it on my own, but I wasn't. There was this humanoid thing there, that same thing, and I'm thinking, what is this? What I thought I was flying by myself. So, and this is funny too because there's a lot of interesting things. It's not just this angelic being with no personality at all. It's something totally different from that. So I look over my shoulder and I just kind of wave to it,
Hmm.
and it lets go of one of my legs and waves back at me. And I thought, this is bizarre.
Holy.
So then it let go of my legs and it moved up uh, to my head and it grabbed me around my waist, and now its head is real close to me,
Okay.
talking to me in my ear. And I'm freaking out. I mean, I'm not just taking this like, oh, okay, he's going to chat with me now. I'm freaking out. I really was. And, I always joke about this. I say, first of all, we hadn't been introduced and it was hugging me. So I'm thinking, okay, keep calm, Al. Stay calm. You're okay. I'm talking to myself, that kind
Yeah.
of. So now we're flying around, and it's talking to me and pointing downward.
Huh.
Okay, telling me something about what's something below me, and it starts flying me around in a circle. We're no longer flying straight. We're going around in a circle, and it's pointing down, talking to me. So I look down, and down I see these circular pillars of stone. And I'm looking down, I think, God, that looks like Stonehenge down there. And I keep looking, and I thought, that is Stonehenge down there.
He
What is
took you
this
to
thing?
Stonehenge.
What is this thing telling me about Stonehenge? And I keep looking, and it keeps talking, and it felt like I was a glass of water, and it talking was a pitcher of water pouring information into me, and as my glass of water became so full I couldn't handle anymore.
Wow.
That's the best analogy, the way I can describe it. And I thought, okay, I've had enough of this. You can talk all you want. I can't absorb any more of what you're saying. I want to go back. And with that, the rapid acceleration, which I was familiar with, boom, in the bed, I jumped up and I went running through my house again, turning on all the lights, sitting down, and I start writing all this out. Now I'm sitting there, and now you think about all these experiences over the last 7 days now. I had one exciting week.
Yeah, to say the least.
And I'm thinking, what am I discovering? And now I'm no longer thinking it's lucid dream. I'm thinking I'm discovering something ancient, something that we always were, something incredible, and something that's going to change my perceptions of life forever. That's where I'm starting to go there now.
Yeah.
But I'm still not thinking about telling anybody, other than the people I told, So the doctor invited me to an International Association of Near-Death Studies meeting, and they have them there all over the world and been around for a long, long, long time. Betty Eady is a member who wrote Embraced by the Light.
Yes.
I think, and a host of other people that have written books on the subject. There's all these light books out there. Usually they're a member of IANS in some kind of way.
Okay.
So I go to the meeting, and one of the things it's interesting is I had a fear of public speaking up until my book came out, and I even had a fear then, and I somehow got over it. But going to the meeting, the doctor looks over at me and sees me coming in the meeting. She says, "Oh, there's Albert Taylor. He's had a real interesting experience. Al, why don't you share that with the group?" And I'm like, I just, my stomach knotted up, and I just thought, I can't do that. And so I slowly struggled through trying to share with this group of strangers. I didn't know anybody except for the doctor about, my experience of going to her house. And so then after I finished, this gentleman, I didn't know who he was, he walks over to me and he hands me this piece of paper. And he looked and he said, no, he slipped it in my breast pocket of my shirt. And he taps me and he says, "That's your next book."
Oh.
And I thought, okay. So I go into my shirt and I pull out this piece of paper, and he wrote on the piece of paper, Zolar's Encyclopedia of Ancient and Forbidden Knowledge.
Say that again?
Zolar's Encyclopedia of Ancient and Forbidden Knowledge.
Wow.
And I'm looking at that going, wow, that's a rather foreboding title.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
That was my exact thought.
Thinking, wow, okay. So, and he walks away, didn't introduce himself, none of that. Just, here's your next book, and walks away. And I'm thinking, imagine my mind is racing,
Mm-hmm.
thinking, what is going on here? So I leave the International Association of Near-Death Studies meeting, and I immediately go to the bookstore in Newport Beach, California, and I order the book. They said, we don't have it. I tried to find it. They said, we don't have it in stock, but we'll order it for you, okay? So I said, all right. So I go on home, and this was like the 8th night. And on the 8th night, I thought, I want to have another flying experience. That was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, I don't have repeat experiences. Usually, they're all different. But on this particular night, I had an identical experience that I had the previous night.
Oh.
Found myself flying again, dissolved out of the body, found myself flying again, looked over my shoulder, there was this thing again.
Oh.
This time it didn't wait for me to wave at it. It immediately let go of my legs, came up, grabbed me around the waist, and started flying me around in a circle, talking to me, pointing down. I looked down, and there was Stonehenge again.
Wow.
And it's telling me more stuff now, okay? And the same thing fills me up just like the glass of water. I couldn't handle any more information. I've had enough, and I returned to the physical body. Same thing. I wrote all of this down. Identical, except expanded understanding of what was going on, at least more pieces to the puzzle, I should say.
Right, yeah.
I didn't really understand too much at that time, So then, on the 9th day, the bookstore from Newport Beach calls me, and they say, your Zolar's book is in. So I said, okay. So I drive on down to the bookstore, and I go into the bookstore, and I walk in, and I say, yeah, I'm here to pick up the Zolar's book. I'm Albert Taylor, and the lady looks at me, and she goes, okay. She reaches under the counter, and she pulls out this book wrapped in brown paper bag. I mean, taped and wrapped.
Okay.
And I'm looking at that, I'm thinking, how weird is that, And I pay for the book sight unseen. I'm hoping there's a book in there. So I grab the book, and I'm walking out to the parking lot, and I'm tearing the wrapper off the book. And as I tear the wrapper off, I see the cover of the book, and on the cover of the book is Stonehenge. And I stopped in the middle. Cars were blowing at me. So I'm just standing in the middle of the parking lot looking at this cover of this book. All of a sudden, I went from thinking I was doing exploration to thinking I'm being led down this path in some kind of way. This thing. I didn't tell the Ions people I saw Stonehenge.
Wow.
I didn't tell that guy that.
Wow.
Why is he recommending a book that I've had 2 Stonehenge's experiences 2 days in a row about?